This diagram depicts a business and the numerous roles that people hold inside it. Rita Martin oversees business operations, Caroline Clark handles marketing, while Rick Moranis handles customer service. Mike Smith, the director, is in charge of all three of these personnel, and his assistant, Jim Peterson, serves as Smith's right-hand man. While Mike Smith oversees the company as a whole, each of the three managers is responsible for a certain part of it. Gross national happiness is depicted in the graph, GNH. On the graph, it's easy to see that health and community vitality go hand in hand, and the color purple reflects this. The color is orange, and we can tell that living conditions and education are above average. The color is green, and we can see that people are happy and that the government is doing a wonderful job. The graph makes it crystal evident that ecological diversity, resilience, and time consumption can all be seen, and the color blue can also be seen. This is a helpful image at the end. The picture is of a line graph on a rough scaled paper showing the product sales for 3 years. The x-axis is labeled with the years 2000, 2001, and 2002, whereas, on the y-axis, we have the units of product sales from 100 to 250 gallons. The three lines show snacks, food items other than snacks, and soft drinks as selling products. The food items are the only products that witnessed skyrocketing growth in selling from 200 to 250 gallons in those 3 years, whereas rest of the items that are snacks and soft drink initially surged in 2001 and then dropped in 2002. All in all, the given data reveals that food items are more popular as compared to snacks and soft drinks as far as selling is concerned. The line graph depicts how Promo Plus in Istanbul changed over the course of a year. Promo Plus sales were 200 million Turkish lira in the first month of 2007, rising marginally to over 225 million in February. This was followed by a far greater increase in March, with sales about 125 million Turkish lira more than in February. However, the growing trend was abruptly stopped, and sales fell precipitously over the next 4 months, reaching just over 100 million Turkish lira in July. August sales nearly quadrupled, returning to January levels, but this did not last long, as they sank back to July levels in September. In Istanbul, Promo Plus remained basically constant in 2007, with sales in January and December almost equal. How hydroelectric power is created from the sea to residential and industrial sectors is shown in this diagram. To begin with, the sun's heat evaporates seawater. When it rains, the water from the clouds evaporates and falls to the ground. These reservoirs are then enclosed by a dam, storing the water. Valves regulate the amount of water that flows out of the reservoir. It is possible to generate mechanical energy by leaving the valve open. Underground wires transport the electric energy generated by the turbine to nearby homes and businesses. As a whole, hydroelectric energy generation has multiple steps. To illustrate this point, a human arm is shown side by side with the bones of the seal, bird, and bat wings. The biggest bones in human arms and seal limbs are human. However, there are obvious distinctions between the two. For example, the humerus of the human arms is narrower than that of the seal limbs. In contrast to the bird's wings, the bones of the bat wing are significantly larger and thicker. Bones in the human arm and the limbs of seals are bigger than those in the wings of birds and bats. Photograph of a country road in the woods with a building on the left side taken in the autumn. Forested areas are covered in yellow leaves, with occasional ferns and green grass. In the distance, the road disappears from view. On this beautiful day, the rusted and unpainted structure on the left looks abandoned. It seems to be a rural road in the United States during late September or early October, when the leaves are beginning to change color. Here is a bar graph showing how much water was used in England's homes in 2004. The bathroom used 28% of the water, followed by the garden at 27%. 10% was utilized in the kitchen and 15% in the bathroom. In terms of water use, the bathroom used the most and the kitchen used the least. From 2000 to 2005, this graph depicts data on the factors contributing to deforestation in the Brazilian Amazon. There can be no doubt about it from the graph that cattle grazing accounts for 65 to 70% of the workforce. Second only to large-scale farming is small-scale farming, which accounts for between 20 and 25% of the total. The graph clearly shows that the smallest percentage, 1 to 2%, may be found in other. Logging has a logging rate of 2 to 3%. Large-scale agriculture has a rate of 5 to 10% of the total. There are many reasons for deforestation, and this graph illustrates them. The vacation accommodation preferences of individuals in the United Kingdom in 2010 are depicted in this bar graph. In general, the English, Scottish, Northern Irish, and Welsh made decisions that were relatively similar. Approximately half of the people in each of the four nations decided to stay in hotels. This percentage was greatest in England, at roughly 55%, nearly twice as high as those who cooked for themselves and significantly higher than those who slept in campsites and trailers. The Scots and the Welsh followed a similar pattern. Northern Ireland is the only country that follows a different trend. The bar graph depicts the day-to-day fluctuations in the number of people using the London Underground. The station is rarely more than 100% full at any one time of day. At the station's busiest periods, which are 8 a.m. and 6 p.m., there are about 400 people. This isn't unexpected, given that these are the hours when most people are either on their way to work or have just arrived home from it. As a rule, the station is least congested between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. each day. 8 a.m. and 6 p.m., Monday through Friday, are peak hours for traffic. Building transferable wealth is a process that begins with living within your means and ends with transferring your money. Living within your means is the first step in the process. When you save more than you spend, you end up with a positive cash flow. The second step is to conserve and invest any remaining funds. Stage 3 is all about transforming your savings and investments into a source of income for yourself. When you die, your money and estate will be transferred to your heirs. To summarize, there are several steps in the process of accumulating money that may be passed on to future generations. Azerbaijan and its environs are depicted on this map. There is a star next to Baku to indicate that it is Azerbaijan's capital city. Azerbaijan also includes Nagorno-Karabakh and Nakhchivan as additional territories. Iran, Armenia, Georgia, and Russia border Azerbaijan to the country's left. On the right, you'll see the Caspian Sea. Azerbaijan is surrounded by a number of nations. This map depicts the world's forest coverage. Canada, the northern half of South America, and the European and Asian interiors all have significant expanses of evergreen forest. In Russia, Eastern Africa, and Australia, deciduous woods can be found. Most of Africa, Asia, and Australia lack trees. On the western side of the globe map, there are more evergreen forests. On the eastern side, there are more deciduous forests. York's 2010 favorite takeout foods are depicted in this pie chart. At 43%, Indian food was the most popular dish, followed by pizza at 23%, while kebabs, 5%, fish and chips, 11%, were the least popular options. This study found that people preferred Indian food over kebabs. A lovely coloured bar graph depicts the main sources of funding for higher education in Scotland. Different colours are used to signify different types of information, such as yellow for services. Overseas fees are represented by maroon, and financial council grants are represented by dark blue. The donations are shown in £1 million in monetary terms, and the data covers the years 1994 to 2002. As can be seen from the graph, there is no difference between Research and Financing Council awards in the years 1994 to 1998, which range between £500 and £750 million, but the gap widens in 2001 and 2002, reaching £1,000 million. Finally, throughout the years listed, services, abroad fees, and endowments make up a small fraction of the assets. Confidence in the economy was measured by a line graph from January 1990 through January 2008. Consumer confidence was at an all-time high of 85 in January 1990, before quickly falling to a low of roughly 67. Consumer confidence continued to climb and dip during the next years, peaking in January 2002 at 106. Although consumer confidence was once again at 67 in January 2008, the decline was severe and lasted throughout the year. The level of consumer confidence fluctuates constantly, with many peaks and valleys. From 2003 to 2012, the number of severe weather days recorded on this map of the United States. Severe weather occurs just once or twice a year in the western part of the United States, but the Midwest and East Coast experience 20 to 30 days each year. Overall, the East Coast of the United States experiences more severe weather days than the West Coast. This depicts the ancient Egyptian method of exchanging things. Lebanon was a major source of cedar, oil, and lumber for ancient Egypt. In addition, it brought in ebony and ivory from other regions of tropical Africa, as well as slaves and exotic animals for trade. Meanwhile, ancient Egypt exported linen, tools and beading beads as well as beer, weaponry, and oil to other places. Beirut and other African countries supplied a significant amount of products to ancient Egypt. They also sold their wares in other parts of the world. People's favorite movie genres are shown in a pie chart. Romance films accounted for 30% of all movie viewing, followed by action pictures at 25%. 20% of moviegoers preferred sci-fi or comedy flicks, while only 5% preferred dramas. Romance films are the most popular, while dramas are the least popular.